Good day, fellow cultivators of destiny. I want to ask you a question that might feel impossible to answer in these fast-paced times. Can your entire life truly transform in just 6 months? My answer is not just a hopeful yes, but a resounding absolutely. And it happens not by waiting for a miracle harvest, but by understanding the humble power of a single seed planted with intention, tended with discipline, and allowed to grow. I've learned that life's most profound changes don't arrive like a sudden downpour from the heavens. They emerge steadily like a resilient plant pushing through the soil through small, consistent actions. This isn't about grand gestures or overnight success stories you see plastered across social media. This is about deep, sustainable growth. So, for the next 40 minutes, let me share with you 6 fundamental principles for cultivating an unstoppable future in the next 6 months. This isn't just about your bank account or your career. This is about enriching the soil of your mindset, fortifying the roots of your confidence, and ensuring a bountiful harvest for the rest of your life. Get ready to transform your approach from passive observation to active cultivation. Many aspiring farmers never even plant their first seed. Not because they don't dream of a sprawling farm, but because they believe the soil isn't rich enough, the tools aren't advanced enough, or the conditions aren't perfect. They tell themselves, if only I had more land, better machinery, more experience, or perfect weather. But nature doesn't wait for more. Life rewards those who cultivate with what they already possess. I've seen too many brilliant ideas wither because their owners hesitated at the edge of the field. I need a better tractor before I plant, they say. I need 5 more agricultural courses before I'm ready to sow. I need an expert farmer to guide me before I begin. But let me ask you, what did many successful farmers start with? Often, just a small plot of land, a few simple tools, and an idea. They didn't have vast resources or guaranteed success. They had a vision for what could grow. They had the courage to put the seed in the ground. Don't underestimate the power of the small things in your hand right now. A working phone, a free online tutorial on gardening, a friend who believes in your vision, an hour of quiet time before the day starts. These are your foundational tools. You might think they're not enough, but in reality, they are more than enough to begin cultivation. The landscape has changed. You don't need a sprawling plantation to start a venture. You don't need an MBA to learn the principles of growth. You don't even need a designated office. What you need is movement, the act of planting. I've met many who started with no background in their chosen field. They couldn't code the soil or program the seasons, but they knew how to communicate their vision. They knew how to build trust. They knew how to sell the idea of a future harvest, even if they didn't have all the pieces yet. So, they started with that. They gathered others who shared their vision, and they began working. Not perfectly, not with everything they needed, but they worked anyway. This is the crucial insight most people miss. Perfection is the drought that kills progress. If you wait for the perfect soil, the perfect climate, the perfect opportunity, you will still be waiting a decade from now. But the people who achieve, they simply plant. They plant with what they know, who they know, and what they can reach. Right now, they make progress, and progress itself enriches the soil and opens new fields. You possess something right now that can change your life. Maybe it's your resilient spirit. Maybe it's a simple notebook where ideas germinate. Maybe it's 30 minutes of undisturbed reflection. Maybe it's your unique story, fertile ground for connection. But I promise you, you have something. The true obstacle isn't the size of your resources. It's the size of your fear. People don't lack tools. They lack the belief to simply plant the seed. Sometimes we think, but what if the crop fails? Let me tell you, some will. Not every seed will sprout. But that's not a reason to wait. That's a reason to plant faster. The sooner a crop fails, the sooner you learn about the soil, the climate, the technique, and the sooner you can replant with wisdom. Waiting doesn't protect you from a bad harvest, it only delays your lessons. And never compare your first sprout to someone else's flourishing orchard. Don't look at someone with 100 acres, a decade of successful harvests, and millions in their barn and say, I can't compete with that. Of course you can't. Not today, but you're not meant to. You're meant to start planting. Every master farmer was once a beginner with a few small beds. Every vast vineyard was once a single vine. Every expert cultivator was once confused about soil pH, but they began. They didn't wait to become ready. They became ready by tending their first patch. The truly successful aren't those blessed with more fertile land. They simply take more chances with their seeds. They don't have more innate talent. They just trust what they have, even if it's small. They say, this is my plot. Let me make it grow. So, what do you have right now? Not what you wish you had. Not what you hope to acquire later. What do you hold today? In your hands, in your head, in your heart? That's where your cultivation journey begins. Not in some perfect future, but right here, right now, with the seeds already in your pocket. In today's world, too many people are chasing the harvest without understanding usefulness. Everyone wants a bountiful crop, recognition, and wealth, but very few ask themselves the most important question: how can I be truly useful to others? If your plot doesn't produce something valuable for others, why should they buy your produce? Why should they visit your farm? Why should they collaborate with you? It all starts with value, and value begins with skill. I'm not talking about trying to grow every type of crop in existence. I'm talking about mastering one thing that makes people say, I need this person's yield. Just one. Not 10, not 100. One skill, one thing you can do better than most. One specific produce that helps people solve a real hunger. That's how you establish your plot in the world, not by being everything, but by being something clear, helpful, and high quality. When I started my ventures, I didn't know how to cultivate every crop, but I knew how to communicate. I knew how to explain things clearly. I knew how to sell the idea of a thriving garden. That was my one core skill. That's what made me useful. Not to the entire market at first, but to the few people around me. And that was enough to get the first harvest going. You don't need to be the best farmer in the world. You need to be good enough to help someone. Learn one skill that solves a problem. It can be writing, speaking, designing, coding, selling, organizing, fixing, teaching, advising, anything. Just make sure it's something that creates tangible value for others. People don't care how many agricultural degrees you have. They care whether you can help them with something they truly need. If you can do that, you are valuable. Many people spend years waiting for passion. They say, I'm not passionate about this particular crop. Let me tell you something honest. Passion often grows after skill, not before. When you become proficient at something, when people thank you for your produce, when opportunities open up because of your ability, that's when you begin to feel the fire of passion. So don't wait to feel inspired. Get good at something first, and inspiration will follow. The world is full of noise, people talking, scrolling, complaining. But the ones who move forward are the ones who are doing, planting, tending, harvesting. And to do something well, you need a skill. You need to be able to say, this is the unique produce I bring to the market. If you can't answer that, then the first thing you need to do is find that skill and sharpen it like a well-used hoe. Make it strong, make it sharp, make it simple and clear. You don't need to enroll in expensive agricultural schools today. You have YouTube, you have Google, you have free online courses. There is no excuse. The tools for learning are abundant. The only difference is between people who use them and people who just scroll past them every day. Every day you don't practice a skill is a day you miss an opportunity, because the future belongs to those who can do something real, not talkers, but doers, cultivators, problem solvers. And remember, it's not about impressing other farmers. It's about serving people. The skill you choose should not be about making you look good. It should be about helping others grow, helping them solve a need. That's how you become truly useful. That's how you become indispensable. When people think, I can't get this done without your unique produce, then you've made yourself valuable. And once you're valuable, the money, the respect, the opportunities, they will follow like the seasons. You don't need a perfect farming plan. You just need to start planting. Pick one type of crop, not 10. Don't jump from one agricultural method to another every week. Focus. Go deep. Dedicate 30 minutes a day, every day for 6 months to cultivating that single skill and see the incredible yield it brings. Because it's not raw talent that creates a successful farm, it's usefulness. And usefulness is built by mastering one real skill that people can count on when their stomachs are empty. Many people think hard work in farming means sleeping less, eating poorly, and always being busy. They think success is about endless hustle, working 20 hours a day, sacrificing weekends, missing family gatherings, skipping essential rest. But that's not smart farming. That's not sustainable. Working hard is important, yes, but it's not about burning out the soil. It's about using your energy wisely to ensure continuous yield. When I was younger, I believed in relentless toil. I still do, but I've also learned that hard work without direction is just motion, not progress. And hard work without energy is dangerous. It leads to barren land. You cannot plant your best seeds if you are constantly depleted. You cannot make clear decisions about your farm if your mind is always cloudy. Working hard is not about being busy. It's about being effective. It's not how long you work. It's how well you work when you do. Some people proudly declare, I only sleep for hours a night. I ask, why? What did you cultivate with those other 20 hours? If your mind isn't sharp, if you're not calm and focused, those extra hours of awake time mean nothing. Your true value doesn't come from exhaustion. It comes from clarity, good judgment, and making smart moves at the right time. I've seen many aspiring farmers who start strong. They push relentlessly in the first season, no breaks, no balance, and then after a few months, their entire field collapses. Their health suffers, their relationships fray, their creativity dies. Why? Because they confused intensity with sustainable discipline. Working hard doesn't mean killing your soil. It means respecting your energy like it's your most precious resource, because it is. Think of your energy like the nutrient content of your soil. If you never replenish it, what happens? The plants stop growing, the yield diminishes. Eventually, the land becomes infertile. You are the same. You need to recharge physically, mentally, emotionally. You need deep rest. You need moments of silence and stillness. You need time away from the constant noise of the market. That's not laziness. That's essential maintenance. That's what allows your soil to remain fertile, enabling you to show up strong and produce valuable crops every single day. In my own journey, I tried to operate on minimal sleep, taking calls at all hours. But I quickly learned, if my soil isn't healthy, my entire farm suffers. If I'm tired, my team feels it. If I'm stressed, I make poor decisions about where to plant and what to grow. So I began to respect my energy. I started saying no to unnecessary weeding. I took time to walk, to reflect, to simply be present. And the more I did that, the better I became at cultivating real solutions. Success isn't about who works the longest hours. It's about who lasts. And to last, you need to manage your energy like a professional agronomist. Not just your physical energy, but your emotional energy too. If you're constantly surrounded by negative influences, always under pressure, always angry or afraid, your energy drains faster than you realize. You must protect your mindset like you protect your most valuable crops. Guard your focus like you guard your well water. Your attention is your power. Don't waste it on unproductive noise. This doesn't mean take it easy. No, it means be smart. Be deliberate. Work intensely during your focused planting hours. Truly work. No distractions. No half effort. Then disconnect. Rest with purpose. Move your body. Nourish yourself. Sleep deeply. Think like a prize-winning athlete. An athlete doesn't train 24 hours a day. They train, then recover, then train again. That's how they grow stronger, faster, sharper. You need the same cycle, effort and recovery, drive and renewal, push and pause. It's easy to glorify being busy, but being busy is not the same as being productive. Real work happens when you're present, not when you're overwhelmed. So, learn to listen to your body and the needs of your soil. Learn to notice when your mind is tired. Take breaks before you crash. Say no before you're stretched thin. Be strict with your time, but generous with your energy when it truly counts. So many people spend their lives thinking about building, planning, dreaming of magnificent structures, but they never actually build anything. They talk about their grand ideas. They imagine their architectural goals. They write long to-do lists, but nothing tangible gets created. No action, no product, no real progress. You can read all the blueprints, take all the courses, watch all the videos, but until you construct something with your own hands, nothing truly changes. You don't need to build a skyscraper on day one. You don't need to create the next towering innovation. Just build something. A simple website, a small online store, a personal project, a portfolio of your work, a helpful guide for others. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that it becomes real. Something you can touch, something people can use, something you can point to and say, I made this. People often ask, how do I build confidence? I tell them, confidence isn't found, it's forged through creation. When you take something that only existed in the realm of your mind and bring it into the tangible world, you begin to truly believe in your own capacity. You don't need applause. You don't need permission from external authorities. You need to see concrete proof that you can take an idea and transform it into something that lives outside of your head. That's where authentic self-belief is born, not in theory, but in the act of building. In the early days of my own journey, I didn't have much, but I built. I built small solutions. I built presentations. I built connections. I built trust. Every single thing I built, no matter how minor, gave me more energy to keep going. Even when I faced setbacks, and I faced many, the very process of building imparted strength. It taught me what designs worked and what didn't. It showed me who I was and who I was not, because when you build, you learn by doing. And that, my friends, is the fastest way to grow. You see, most people are stuck because they want to build something perfect. They want the ideal foundation, the flawless launch, the perfectly polished product. But perfection is not the goal, progress is. You don't need to construct the final version on the first try. You just need to begin. You can improve later. You can upgrade later, but start now. Start with what you know. Start with what you have. Start with who you are today. There's something truly magical that happens when you complete something, even something small. Maybe it's just a single-page website. Maybe it's a short report. Maybe it's your first piece of art, but when it's done, when it exists, you gain momentum. You prove to yourself that you are not just a consumer of ideas, you are a creator. You. Stop saying someday and start saying, I already did this, and now I can do more, and don't wait for others to join your construction crew. If nobody supports your idea, build anyway. If nobody claps for your first finished piece, build anyway. The beginning is always quiet, focused work. You don't build for instant fame. You build for growth. You build to get better. You build to learn. The people who truly win are not the ones with the loudest dreams. They're the ones with the most finished work. That's what separates the talkers. From the doers, even if your first attempt isn't a commercial success, even if it goes unnoticed, it's still a win. Because now you've gained experience. Now you have a story. Now you know more than the person who's still thinking, still planning, still doubting. And the next thing you build will be stronger, faster, better, precisely because you built the first one. So many doors swing open when you create something tangible. People take you more seriously. Opportunities find you. You attract collaborators. You gain clarity. Not because you said the right things, but because you've done something, because you've shown the world and yourself that you're willing to take your ideas seriously enough to turn them into reality. Many people today are trying to navigate complex terrains by following the wrong signals. They scroll through social media, watching billionaires on yachts, influencers in luxury suits, motivational speakers on big stages. They follow celebrities and mistakenly believe this is how success is cultivated. But let me tell you something important. Observing success is not the same as learning how to build it. You don't need another role model to admire from afar. You need a mentor who can actually guide you through the muddy paths and rocky slopes. When I was younger, I didn't need someone rich and famous to inspire me. I needed someone who could sit with me, even for 5 minutes, and say, "Don't make that mistake again. Do this instead." That kind of direct, practical advice is more valuable than 1,000 online videos full of grand motivational quotes. Because mentorship isn't about inspiration. It's about instruction. You see, celebrities are easy to admire. They project success. They sound successful. They show you their perfect lives. But you don't know what's real. You don't know what's curated. You don't know how they truly started, what struggles they hid, or what shortcuts they took. You're chasing a story, not a system. And that can leave you feeling worse because the more you watch them, the more you think, why am I not there yet? But a mentor, a real mentor, is often closer to you than you think. Maybe they're not famous. Maybe they don't have millions of followers. But they've walked the very path you're trying to traverse. They've made mistakes you haven't made yet. They've learned things the hard way, and now they can help you avoid those same treacherous holes in the road. They don't care about showing off. They care about helping you grow. Sometimes your best guide isn't older than you. Sometimes they're just 1 or 2 steps ahead. That's enough. Don't wait to be mentored by someone at the absolute peak. Look for people who are reachable, who are still close to the ground, who remember the struggle of the early journey. They are often the best teachers, not because they're perfect, but because they still remember what it feels like to be lost. And here's another truth. Mentorship isn't always formal. It's not always a big program or a paid coaching contract. Sometimes mentorship happens in small, sincere conversations, a lunch with a manager who's navigated similar challenges, a direct message from someone who's achieved what you're attempting, a book written by a real entrepreneur who tells you the truth, not just the highlights. Don't wait for a perfect mentor to appear. Be humble enough to learn from anyone who knows more than you, but don't confuse mentorship with mere entertainment. Just because someone is popular doesn't mean they can genuinely help you. Just because someone is loud doesn't mean they are wise. Don't follow people because they are visible. Follow them because they are valuable to your specific journey. A true mentor doesn't make you feel jealous. A mentor makes you feel capable. They give you tools, not envy, and when you find someone who can truly teach you, listen intently. Don't just ask them, "How can I be successful?" That's too vague. Ask better questions. How did you solve this specific problem? What would you do if you were in my exact situation? What's the single biggest mistake I should avoid right now? Ask with humility, respect their time. Most importantly, apply what they say, show them results. That's how a powerful mentorship relationship truly grows, not through flattery, but through action and demonstrated progress. Also, be ready to outgrow mentors. One day, the person who helped you navigate from a small plot to a thriving garden may not be the one who can guide you to a massive farm. That's okay. That's a sign of your own growth. Keep learning, keep evolving, and when you reach a point where you have something valuable to teach, become a mentor yourself, because the world doesn't need more passive followers. It needs more people willing to pass on what they've learned, honestly, patiently, quietly, with the same generous spirit that helped them rise. Success is not a sudden, miraculous harvest from a single lucky seed. It's not a lottery ticket, not a magical breakthrough. Real, sustainable success is the cumulative result of small actions repeated with discipline, constantly improved with reflection. Most people focus only on speed. How fast can I get to the harvest? But the wise cultivators focus on direction. Am I even planting in the right field? Am I nourishing the right crops? That's where reflection comes in. If you never pause to assess what you're doing, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes. You'll work hard but remain stuck in the same cycles. You'll be busy but not effective. That's why one of the most powerful habits you can develop is to pause once a week and ask yourself, what did I cultivate this week? What did I learn from the soil? What can I do better next week? You don't need a fancy journal. You don't need an app. You just need 30 quiet minutes, maybe on Sunday evening as the week closes or early Monday morning as the new one begins. Sit down. No phone, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. Ask yourself the hard questions. Be honest, not emotional, but truly honest. Look at your actions as if you were an outside expert assessing your farm. What worked? What didn't? What patterns are emerging in your cultivation methods? The goal is not to judge yourself harshly. The goal is to understand yourself and your process, because when you truly understand what's happening on your plot, you gain control. You stop reacting to problems and start proactively improving. It's not about doing more. It's about doing better. People often ask me, how do I become more productive with my time? My answer is simple. Reflect more, because when you reflect, you naturally notice the wasted moments. You see the draining conversations, the unproductive tasks that yielded nothing, the habits that held you back. You realize where your vital energy is truly going, and then, slowly, you begin to redirect it to more fertile ground. Don't wait until the end of the year to reflect. That's too long. By then, you've already forgotten the planting season of February. You've already lost 11 months of potential learning. Instead, make it a weekly habit. At the end of each week, ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1. What did I do well this week in my cultivation? 2. What did I do poorly or what went wrong? 3. What one thing can I do differently, better next week? If you do this every week for 6 months, I promise you, you will be a profoundly different cultivator, not because you made one giant leap, but because you took 26 small, deliberate steps, each one slightly more refined than the last. That's how real, sustainable change happens, quietly, gradually, consistently, and then comes the daily integration. If weekly reflection is mapping your fields, daily improvement is the walk through them. Every day, you apply one small change. From your reflection, just one. You don't try to fix everything at once. You focus. Maybe today you'll tend to a specific task for 10 more minutes of deep work. Maybe tomorrow you'll listen more carefully to feedback. Tiny shifts, but when added up, they compound exponentially. Improvement isn't always exciting. Sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it feels like nothing is changing. But if you trust the process, if you consistently apply these small adjustments, you'll look back one day and realize you are sharper, faster, calmer, more focused, and your harvest is richer. Not because of luck, but because of deliberate, consistent adjustment. I know many people who work incredibly hard, but they never truly grow because they never stop to ask why they're doing what they're doing. They just keep running through the motions, and when you run without thinking, you end up exhausted, not successful. Reflection gives your effort a direction. It transforms mere motion into genuine progress. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to win every day. But if you reflect weekly and improve daily, you will always be ahead of the people who just work harder without thinking smarter. It's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about noticing them quickly, adjusting your approach, and trying again with better insights, better habits, and sharper focus. That's how you move from where you are to where you want to be. That's how growth becomes a system, not just a wish. In just 6 months, you can completely reshape the landscape of your life. Not by chasing a perfect, magical harvest, but by committing to consistent, intentional cultivation. Plant your seed. Start with what you have right now. Water your skill. Learn and master one valuable ability. Protect your soil. Work hard, but intelligently manage your energy. Build your structure. Create something real. No matter how small, find your guides. Seek mentors who instruct, not just impress. Harvest wisdom. Reflect weekly. Improve daily. These actions may seem simple, like planting a single seed, but done consistently with unwavering discipline and heart, they create unstoppable momentum. Success doesn't belong to the lucky or those with the largest initial plots. It belongs to those who move with clarity, discipline, and the unwavering heart of a true cultivator. 6 months of focused action can yield more than 6 years of aimless wandering. The time to plant your first seed is now. Your bountiful harvest awaits. Thank you for embarking on this journey of cultivation with me. If this message resonated, please share it. Let's help more people understand the power of the seed, the soil, and the harvest. Until next time, keep planting, keep tending, and keep growing forward.